You're a sexy socialite. All you do is socialize, and you're always so polite. And your outfits tantalize when you wanna spend the night. All you do is roll your eyes, they crush on you. Ooh, they crush on you.
Yeah. To produce and to write, we use very, very antiquated software. We use an old version of Cakewalk as a MIDI sequencer.
9.0.
9.0. It's on a Pentium, what?
2.
From what year?
1992 on Windows 95.
And that's what we make all the Chromeo music you've ever heard with.
I could be your boyfriend and your counselor, 'cause the night might damage.
There's a bunch of really classic Chromeo synths that we use. P gets new pieces with every album. That's another thing, is like every album is defined by a particular collection of synths.
'Cause the night might damage you. You're a sexy.
On analog gear, the sound is way richer. I mean, there's frequencies that zeros and ones can't emulate, right? I guess nowadays, we forget that beautiful subtlety because we're in a culture where, you know, sort of like everything is maxed out, but like sometimes it's just too much. And on an analog, that's another thing. You explain that to me, I think. Well, an analog can't distort, right? The wave can't get clipped the same way.
Well,
it just fixes it itself.
Well, it clips, but it's not as drastic as
Yeah.
a digital file, which does literally squares, and then it sounds like a square wave just distorting.
So to draw a parallel, if you put this and you put it as loud as possible, it's not going to go like that, you know. But it's also really nice to listen at a low volume. You hear stuff differently.
The night might damage you. You are alone, so young and full of promise, young and full of promise.
So we mixed the album down to tape, and I took the tapes and the files to mastering. So for every song, I had the song on tape and I had the song on file. And for every track with the mastering engineer, we decided what we were going to use. And there's on Come Alive, the tape actually had a different groove because of the analog low end. And we ended up going with tape for that one. There's songs that sounded better on the file, but for Come Alive, just because of the way the drums were hitting. And another thing with analog is that distortion sounds good. I mean, saturation sounds good, distortion sounds good. Same as with film, you know, in a photo, if you overexpose a photo, it's gonna look cool on film. It's not gonna look cool digitally. If you distort tape, it still sounds cool. It doesn't sound like digital distortion, which sounds like the end of the world, pretty much, right? So the way the low end was hitting and distorting a little bit, it kind of changed the groove of the track. In studio settings, you don't mix a record for it to sound good on this. Never, because everything will sound good on this. You mix the record for it to sound good on your most average consumer grade listening system. We test everything on laptop speakers. So when you listen to it on that system, it was just like, it's exactly like Plato's, you know, allegory of the cave, and you go out for the first time and you see the real sunlight. That's what it felt like.